Welcome, guys. Bienvenidos to episode 2 of Solamente Soccer. Thank you so much for the support on the first one. I think it was really exciting seeing the overall response of everyone. So thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode, and hopefully you're tuning in for the second one. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit more on the English side. We're going to be talking about the MLS as it's kicked off this weekend currently right now on the March 1st. So we have a couple of results that we're still waiting on. Miami and LAFC are still playing. And at the same time, I believe the final match that's going to be going on at 7:30. So we'll get to those scores a little bit later. So, Reno, what are we thinking of this weekend? Let's talk about first the most exciting things right now. Inter Miami and Nashville. All right.
I'm gonna say Inter Miami.
Inter Miami.
I'm not gonna say Nashville. It's very exciting, but
yes, it doesn't have the attraction of Beckham, all these players that they were rumored with. So let's start off with let's start off with the Nashville first, just because we'll get into Inter Miami and their situation now. First of all, when I heard Nashville was getting a team, I was astonished. I did not think, even at first, Nashville, Tennessee, to be a big soccer town. I mean, they sold out the first game.
60,000 people.
And that's amazing. I mean, to even in MLS, to be a first game and really just pack out a football stadium.
Yeah, the Titans.
The Titans Stadium, incredible. So, I mean, within itself, obviously, you know that there is some support there in Nashville. Let's talk about the game. First of all, they played against Atlanta United. Ended up losing 2-1. What did you see from that game? What did you like about Nashville? What did you not like about them?
I like Nashville attitude. Okay. They're very offensive. They create a lot of chances. Mm-hmm. But Atlanta has the best talent. Mm-hmm. So they're more lethal. So they only had 2 chances, but they took advantage of these 2 chances and they scored twice. Yeah. One of Barco, and if I'm not mistaken, what is his name? I don't know. He's Emerson, I
believe so. Yes, and they almost got a third. I don't know if you saw this, but near the end of the game, the goalkeeper comes out towards the halfway line, tries to punt it out to Nashville's side, ends up whiffing the ball completely, and then runs back. Pity Martinez is about to kick it into an open net, and the goalkeeper stops it with his bare hands.
Wow.
Only gets a yellow card. Which is astonishing to me,
MLS.
even at most, because that was a clear goal for Pity Martinez, and they just handed him a yellow card and just a free kick, like nothing. So they really saved themselves. But I think I completely agree with you on the fact that it showed the difference between a veteran team that knew how to play the game versus a team that was just so excited to get out on the field that I think that they played very well, just like how you said. But at the same time, when you play too quick, sometimes you don't have that the clarity. Which
or get gassed out.
Exactly. So towards the end, Atlanta was just playing their own game. They really knew what they were doing. They came in with a plan. Unfortunately, they did have Josef Martinez come out with the injury. What do you think that's going to do for Atlanta? Talking about that, because that is a big blow to them if it is extended.
Yeah, Martinez it's an asset that you don't want to lose. That's for sure.
Yes. But
now you have Pity Martinez. Pity Martinez, it seems like finally it's awake and it's gonna do well for Atlanta. We're gonna be talking more about that later, but I do think he's running for MVP.
Yes.
He scored twice and assisted twice in the CONCACAF Champions League against Motagua from Honduras,
but it's still enough to get some confidence in him. I think that's what he really lacked in the system.
And the ball was not helping him either.
Yeah.
Frank de Boer, their coach, was not being very nice with.
Yes. It was a different system that he was coming into, especially from going all the way from River, who had a set system, and obviously their coach, being clear as to what he needed PT to do, and then to come into this Atlanta team where the system was just kind of shifting around a little bit. They didn't really utilize him to his full potential just because he wasn't playing at his natural number 10 role. But back to Nashville right there. Obviously 2-1 that they lost, but I mean, still an impressive feat. I mean, Atlanta's not easy. I mean, taking a look at how Orlando performed against Atlanta all these other years.
Yes, I know, right?
And it's 4-0, 2-1s, 2-0s. I mean, it's not easy at all. Let's talk about where do we think Nashville's going to be ending up. What do we think let's talk playoffs. Are they destined? No. Right away. No playoffs.
No. They have this, their best player is attacking mid. I forgot his name. It's a little bit complicated, but he came from Hertha Berlin Youth Academy, and he played in the Finnish league.
Okay.
Which is not a very good parameter to be a good player. Like, let's be honest.
Yes.
So I don't see them doing a lot better than Cincinnati did last year, for example.
Well, I think that what they're mainly lacking is, I think the thing about Nashville is they don't have that excitement of a DP.
They have Walker Zimmerman, he's a decent center back for the U.S. men's national team, but that's it.
Very, very decent. But you don't have that name that screams out to you like, okay, we're really making a push. And I think at the same time, it could be a very good strategy for Nashville, because at the same time, you saw Orlando bring in Kaká, and then where did that lead them? You know, they brought in Nani, and where did that lead them? And that's sort of the case. Sometimes the big names really don't push you that far forward.
You need a project. I do think in order for you to build a team in MLS, you do need a striker and an attacking mid. That's the spine of your team in MLS, because wanting or not, they're the ones who sell tickets, they're the ones who make goals.
Yes.
That's a fact, right, guys? But once you have that, I think you have to go to your defense. You have to go to, especially your goalkeeper. One of the things I hate about MLS is nobody cares about their goalkeepers. The goalkeeper level at MLS is really low. You have Brad Guzan, which is a good goalkeeper. Now at Orlando City, you have Pedro Galese.
The Pulpo from Peru.
National team for Peru. So
you have a lot. I definitely do see what you're saying, because at the same time, Orlando City ran with Joe Bendick for like a couple of years, and then
Brian Howie.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the same time, they never really replaced him until now with Pulpo. And I completely agree with you. It's like a position that they seem to be like, okay, like, you know, like we have him there, that's fine. Like, we really can't be spending our money here where we need it out, you know, to sell tickets in that case. And I think it completely comes back to the marketing side of aspect. Is, do you get Chicharito, who's going to sell you hundreds of tickets? Or are we going to get El Pulpo, who's going to like bring in like the, 10, 15, 20, a lot of Peruvians that really do watch the game. And I don't even think that there's going to be that much excitement for El Pulpo, because when they had Yoshi from Peru, that was even bigger.
I mean, you brought some Peruvians to Orlando. By the way, guys, if you don't know, I live in Orlando, he lives in West Palm Beach, so 2 hours and a half apart. Yes. So I appreciate when we record it, because it's a lot of effort and gas.
Yes.
But we live majority of the time we're in Orlando, so we see Orlando City games. And there's a lot of Peruvians here in Orlando, if you didn't know. So when Yoshi came here, Yoshi Otun, he made an impact. A lot of people from Peru watch it, and they also brought Asquez.
Asquez, yes, as well.
Asquez from Alianza Lima. So the marketing aspect, it's really important. And I think that's one of the things Miami is doing really well. The majority of the players they are getting are from the same nationality from the people who live in Miami. Exactly. You have a lot of Argentinians, especially. You have,
and you saw it in
Panameños. You have Puerto Ricans. Luis Robles.
Yes, Robles.
He's Puerto Rican.
Full, at this point,
So the marketing aspect is really important, but at the same time, you cannot undervalue the talent just because you're looking for someone that's the same nationality or that fits better with the culture.
Exactly. And even at positions, I don't think that I think in soccer, as much as any other sport, every position is just as important as the next one. Without one doesn't work in that sort of a case. So I think the goalkeeper is a situation where it does need to be improved, and I think that people are finally starting to notice, especially with Robles coming back now, with El Pulpo being in the MLS. You have a lot of other Guzan, obviously. So you have a lot of quality there, but you still need to really make sure that you have a foundation also as well in your center backs, as obviously Nashville has done with Zimmerman. So, as I know that we discussed playoffs not being a possibility, you don't think at all.
No.
I could see them sneaking in just because the MLS is so unpredictable.
No,
in the
Matias.
sense, hear me out. I think the final playoff spot could possibly be up for grabs in that situation because I don't really see any clear-cut decision of who's going to be that final spot. I don't think that there's any certainty that you can give me and say, okay, that team is for sure going to be solid enough to be the final one. No. And I think if Nashville plays with that heart and that intensity that they play with Atlanta, which is going to be very difficult, trust me.
Exactly.
It's going to be very, very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to go in and week out and not play your heart out. So maybe. I like the fairy tale story of like a team that nobody really thinks.
It's not going to happen. I'm
and
sorry.
Maybe possibly. So where do you see them ending up? Are we seeing bottom of the table, or are we thinking enough of a progress to where it's like a decent?
Not going to the playoffs, I'm gonna say. Not a disaster, but not going to the playoffs.
Okay.
But
so Orlando City's entire existence, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much at that point. Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's talk about Inter Miami now as we are getting set. Currently, right now, they're tied 0-0 with LAFC. Let's talk about overall, what do we think of all the players that they've signed, and basically from start to finish, where do we see Miami finishing up? Playoffs or no? Let me start there.
I mean, it would be a disaster if they didn't.
Would it?
For me, it's if Miami does not make the playoffs, that's a disaster.
I don't think it's such a disaster. I just think that there's so many big names involved, and it's been such a project that like everyone's like, all right, all this work has to pay off into a playoff. But if you look up and down at the team, very easily it could not make the playoffs.
What?
I think very easily it could not make the playoffs.
What do you mean?
I think, all right, but I'm saying these are a lot of new players that are starting to step up into the MLS. You have a lot of young national players. Obviously, I know that you said that you like
Atlanta did that.
Atlanta did the same thing.
Atlanta did. LAFC did.
Yeah, but at the same time, Atlanta and LAFC did perfect signings when they signed Josef Martinez, when they signed Pity Martinez, when they signed all of these players, Barcos and everything. And LAFC did the same thing when they brought in Rossi and when they brought in Vela. I don't see that player in the Miami team yet. I don't see him.
No, I agree with him about that, but I don't agree with that they're not going to make the playoffs.
No, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm saying at the same time, there's a possibility. There's a possibility
very small.
Because if you look at the team, what are we really looking at? We're looking at a project. I think in a couple of years, 1 or 2 years, you will still have those players be very viable options, play very well. I just don't think right now in one season they're going to be fully capable enough of handling a full team going all the way to the playoffs. In that sort of a case.
For me, in my opinion, they messed up with signing Pizarro.
With Pizarro?
Like,
all right.
$12 million for a guy that does not deliver you goals or assists.
I think he had 4 goals in 15 odd matches or something in that.
We're gonna talk about that like later, but for me he was completely unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Like you can sign so many players at $12 million who do a lot better. Mm-hmm. You can sign a guy like Diego Rossi for $12 million. You can go to South America and get a guy just like Diego Rossi in Brazil, maybe not Argentina. Mm-hmm. In Brazil, Argentina.
Well, I mean, here's another thing. You could throw out for a guy, if you are saying in Argentina, if you go in through the Argentinian league and you look at, I think, one of my favorite players, Alfonso Gaich, who I think is going to be a star in the making and has a release clause of just $12 million. I agree with you. You rather take the risk of a prospect that's going to develop throughout the years and you know for sure he can deliver goals as opposed to
Thiago Almada from Vélez Sarsfield.
Yeah.
What's the name of there's another guy from Vélez.
Also Santiago Garcia from Godoy Cruz has been killing it in the Argentinian league like for all these years and nobody bats an eye. Nobody bats an eye. And the guy's I think 30, 31 years old, but still in the MLS he could kill it with goals. So I agree with you in that sense where Miami really looked at their roster up and down and said, all right, but who's going to sell the tickets?
Not really Pizarro, I promise you.
Yeah, but Pizarro is big enough of a name, and we see it all through the MLS website. If you go through the MLS website and look at all of their predictions, Alfonso Pizarro is mentioned in every single article.
No, they're mentioned because they signed him.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying in the predictions of the seasons, like for MVP or new player of the year.
Yeah, but
Pizarro
which
is mentioned.
Stupid. Like he's not going to. Like if you're saying that he's going to be the MVP, I'm sorry, you don't know soccer.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Pizarro is a great player, but to give him all this pressure of being like, this is our guy, this is who you're going to rely on to get goals. That's too much pressure in itself. That's too much pressure in itself.
For me, Julian Carranza is going to be a better player than him.
Carranza is going to be great. I think
he's injured right now, so
yes. Pellegrini, I think, is going to be great as well.
I have my doubts about Pellegrini. I'm not
Why
sure.
So?
I don't know. He just didn't put enough numbers to be considered DP so early.
Yes.
Like Diego Rossi had put some good numbers in Canada before.
He made quite a bit. He also played in Libertadores action before.
Like he had numbers before going to MLS. Matias, no. Matias has 1 goal, 1 assist in 9 games at Estudiantes.
Let's talk about in this sort of a case. So where do you see Inter Miami finishing their first season then? In playoffs? But please tell me. Please don't tell me first. Please don't tell me first.
No, obviously not. I have Atlanta. There's no way.
Atlanta first.
Atlanta's first. Okay. That's a fact.
Okay.
I'm gonna say fourth.
Gonna say fourth.
Fourth, fifth.
That's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. Like they have enough of a roster to be on the playoffs. Not to win, obviously. It's too early, but to go to playoffs, that's for sure.
Yeah. I agree.
But before we continue, I want to mention I've never seen an MLS thing being talked about so much as Inter this year.
100%.
With Beckham. Beckham was going to CNBC, to Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
Everyone was talking about Inter Miami because of David Beckham. And for me, that was great. That's great for the league.
Oh, it's great. 100%.
And I just wish they did that more for the other teams because it's so good for the league. And I hope they do that with Austin FC when they start to play in the league in I think 2 years next year.
I believe so, yeah. And also the backing of Matthew McConaughey. Also, just with that alone. I mean, even me, I didn't know much about Austin FC until I saw the picture of Matthew McConaughey. I'm like, okay, then this really starts getting some pull back.
And then you think, all right.
We got a team. One thing that I wanted to touch on before we actually left off on Inter Miami, let's talk about Lewis Morgan, who I think is actually an interesting story to talk about. 23 years old. He has 33 goals and 30 assists in 171 games.
That's great numbers.
For Celtic. Yeah, amazing games.
He's 22 years old and he's doing...
And already an international for Scotland, obviously. So what do we think about him? Where do we see him possibly growing? Or do you believe that sometimes maybe the MLS could be a little bit too much of a change?
He's Miami Joseph Martinez.
Really? That big?
In my opinion. Because if you look at Atlanta's history, Joseph Martinez was not a big player. He played for BSC Young Boys in what is Switzerland?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Like no big player, like they barely paid for him to go to MLS. He was putting decent numbers in there.
Yeah.
He played for Torino before. So I think Lewis Morgan has the capacity to be their Joseph Martinez just because he was putting good numbers in the Scottish Premier League, which we know, not the best league in Europe, but for MLS, it's a decent comparison. So I can see him doing really well. For me, he can be, he can be their best player.
I mean, it'll be interesting, especially for a left back.
He's starting right now. He's in the starting lineup.
He is, and I was wondering about being in a left back in a left mid position. Typically that doesn't strike you as a lot of goals to bring in. So it would be interesting to see if he does become more of a scoring option for them, or if they're just going to use him as an assist. Yeah, or if he's just going to be crossing in the balls or anything.
I mean, you know more because since Uruguay, you know Diego Alonso, how he plays.
Yeah, Diego Alonso is we call him el Tornado Alonso. And mainly just because his playing style and also his coaching style is the exact same in that sort of a sense. He likes playing more of an intelligent football. So I don't know what formation he's running. I believe he's running a 4-2-3-1, the traditional 4-2-3-1. But
everybody in South America knows that formation, right, guys?
Yes.
4-2-3-1.
The 4-2-3-1. But if you're Uruguayan, you know the 4-4-2 very well. But Diego Alonso implements a system where he really does like to allow his wingers to really get into the box, whether it's more of a situation where they don't have to be crossing in all the time, so they really do have that element of surprise where they can cut in or they can go outside, really kill you on the wings. And with them going on the inside, it really pushes up the right and the left back.
Overlapping.
Exactly, so they overlap. So you really have a lot of a potential of possibly, I would say, 4 or 5 people already attacking on you straight away. Which was interesting because when we were watching the LAFC game earlier in the week, you mentioned to me that they were attacking almost with 4 or 5 people already.
Even more, 6 people.
Yeah, with 6 people, and I mean it worked out perfectly for them. It was a brilliant game by LAFC. I think it was amazing. We could get into that in just a little bit, but I mean I think that game against Leon really showed that LAFC means business.
No, that game means a lot more than just LAFC. Mm-hmm. That game means MLS is catching up.
Yeah.
MLS is catching up with Liga MX.
And I mean, I don't think a couple of years ago, if you were to say Leon, loses to an MLS team, you would be laughing. You would be laughing the entire way home.
And they had 2-0 advantage. That's a pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good advantage.
Exactly, and you really didn't see the pressure of LAFC really starting to build up until the second half. So I mean, they were pretty fine, and then LAFC just turned it on like that. Diego Rossi scored a beautiful goal. If you have not checked out Diego Rossi's goal against Leon on the second leg, amazing. A lot of people said that it was a cross. A lot of people are saying it was a cross, and then it just kind of like
just like Ronaldinho against England 2002.
Yeah, where everyone was like, it was
free kick.
Yeah, where everyone was kind of wondering, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But it was LAFC just found the code on how to break it, and now in the CONCACAF Champions Cup in the second round, you have an MLS team I think in every single bracket still. So I do believe that you still have a lot of MLS teams contending. I know that the Sounders got knocked off via penalties, which is very sad, but shouldn't really be happening as the MLS
against an Honduran team. Sorry, Honduras, and sorry, Melvin.
But I mean,
Melvin's our friend.
But at the same time, where do we really see the MLS now heading into a situation where do you see them winning possibly a Champions Cup in the future for the CONCACAF, or do we see
LAFC?
Not even LAFC, but any MLS team in general. Where do we see them winning a Champions? Because I mean, there is progress, but how long do you think that
I can see them winning this year, actually.
This year,
I can see. Because if you think about who else it's better than LAFC.
That is true.
Chivas. Actually, let's look at the bracket. Let's look who is in because I don't have the bracket.
No, that's perfectly fine.
By head right now, but.
In the meantime, I just wanted to talk about also with LAFC's team in general. It's amazing to see what they've been able to do in such a short period of time. Because a lot of people look at the model of a lot of the new teams and then saying, okay, it's going to take a while for them to really get going. LAFC just started right off the bat like this. Hiring Bob Bradley right off the gate, and then obviously I know that
not the biggest fan,
but I mean in the MLS he can make it work 100%. And then the signings, obviously Vela, Rossi, Zimmerman, and when he was in the back, he had Blackman. I believe.
Now they have a lot of young players.
Yes.
No, LAFC for me it's the best thing MLS.
Up and down. Everything. Yeah, Youth Academy. The management's been working with them.
I'm gonna say Youth Academy. I'm gonna say New York City FC. They are bringing some very talented players. They have this.
But let me ask you this: is it more New York FC, or is it just that it's a city group part, and that's really where they're getting more of their players? Because since it is part of the Manchester City and the,
that's a consequence. Obviously, if you have the back of such a big team like Manchester City, of course you're gonna start to develop a good player. If I'm not mistaken, there was a player that plays for LAFC that came from the Manchester City team in Uruguay, right?
From Torque. Yes, from Torque City. Now they're called Montevideo City Torque.
Yeah.
Yeah, which are all, it's a mouthful, honestly. But yeah, Shinela, I think, was from
exactly.
Shinela. So we'll have to see on where they go with that case. But I mean, props to them. They in the amount of time that they've been able to do it, by all means, LAFC. You have the bracket right there.
Yeah, I do have the bracket. So Atlanta United and Clube America.
Okay.
I have
good game.
I have a good game, but I have Atlanta advancing.
Okay.
Not because you guys love MLS. No, it's because Club America is doing really bad in the Liga MX. We've been following, and they've been in a really bad situation right now. Mm-hmm. Cruz Azul and LAFC. Mm-hmm. That's a good match for me. I think Cruz Azul, but I think LAFC is still better. Then you have New York City FC. Mm-hmm.
Well, Cruz
and Tigres.
Cruz Azul, going backwards a little bit. Cruz Azul has Jonathan Rodriguez, Uruguayan player who's been playing, I believe, 8 goals in his last 9 games. So he's been going ridiculous on that case. So it's going to be a very, very good game. We'll see. Yeah.
So I don't see anything being better than LFC. I see teams with very similar levels with Tigres and Tigres, Atlanta, and Cruz Azul. But I still think LAFC is better.
So real quick, give me your final. Who do we think is going to be in the final there for the CONCACAF Champions Cup? LAFC
and Tigres. LAFC and Tigres.
And I would say in that one, I think Tigres just does it. I don't think LAFC wins this year, just because of I think they're brand new to this whole multiple games per week sort of a thing. I don't think that their squad is deep enough just yet. Where I think that Tigre really has a little bit more of a system where they really can plan out their schedule. So now really they're going to have a deep enough squad where I think it's going to take them far into the game. That and Vargas and the entire rest of the team I think can really just outshine LAFC towards the end.
Yeah, but I hope LFC wins. Just I want to see an MLS team going to the World Club Championship.
Would definitely be interesting right there.
And getting smacked by Flamengo, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about now a lot of new faces coming into the MLS. Just as a quick notice, we just found out that Josef Martinez tore ACL.
It's injured for the season, guys.
Out for the season. They haven't scheduled yet the surgery, but I believe out for the season fully. Quick thoughts.
There's no way.
Quick thoughts. What do we think now? How does this affect Atlanta? You said them first. Where does this lead them now?
They can still be first, but I think there's a big chance Toronto might steal the spot.
I agree. I think Pete Martinez right now, not a better time for him to really shine and really show himself. So back to the newcomers here. We have I have a list pulled up. We have Chicharito. We have Rodolfo Pizarro, Franco Jara, Jürgen Locadia, Pulido, Celarayán, Jimmy Charra, and obviously El Pulpo Galese for Orlando City. Who sticks out to you the most as far as the fresh faces of the DPs?
Who stands out?
Yes.
In terms of quality?
Yeah, let's go quality first.
Quality?
Because I know that you mentioned that you loved a little bit of this guy, Jürgen Locadia, the forward now for Cincinnati.
I was going to say he's my hipster choice.
Okay.
Hipster choice.
Okay. Just because you think that, expand on that more, because he is on loan from Brighton, obviously coming from the Premier League to the MLS, not the jump that you want as a player.
No, definitely not.
But where do you see him going in this sort of a case?
For me, he has quality to be the MVP of the league.
Okay.
But he won't, just because he's FC Cincinnati. That's a bold statement. Maybe not.
Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with the overall team success. I don't think that the MLS would ever vote an MVP for someone that, even though that they scored a lot of goals, didn't get anywhere.
Yes.
And I think FC Cincinnati really needs to fill up around them. I mean, especially if he is coming on a loan.
Yeah,
if he's on a loan, that's
a weird move in my opinion.
That's a win now move. That's like if Miami. This is where Inter Miami should have gone on a loan.
I agree.
If they
want another DP, he'll be the guy.
Exactly, because I think that's the guy who will provide goals at the end of the season. He'll leave, and you're perfectly fine.
Can buy him.
Or
if he was
exactly
success.
But arriving after, one of the guys that I want to talk about, just because he is one of the fresher faces, and we just briefly touched up on him, Rodolfo Pizarro, 1 goal involvement in every 4 matches, 9 goals and 6 assists, 62 games in all competitions there. Not the greatest.
$12 million, guys. $12 million.
Beckham, do your research. Come on, man.
Come on.
For me, I think that this is a signing for a team like Cincinnati, where
we need the face, but
we're
not expecting to win anything in the
exactly where you really just want him to be like, all right, this is a project. We'll see where this kind of ends out. I think if Pizarro and Locadia swap places, they would be much
make
better.
a lot more sense.
They would be in much better places, I think myself. I mean, those numbers don't scream anything amazing for them, and they're just currently now playing, losing 1-0 to LAFC on the update. So I don't think, as far as this was a very questionable move as part of Inter Miami. And
Makes
typically
no
he does play more in the attacking midfield role, but today they haven't played him as a lone striker today. So I think it's interesting as to where they're going. Another one that really made news, especially in Liga MX, because this was huge against them. This was a huge move for MLS in general, is Alan Pulido, who went from Chivas Guadalajara for $10 million. I mean, this kid, especially to go to Sporting Kansas City, this is a huge blow for Liga MX as one of your top stars or one of your top goal scorers going into the MLS. What do you see from this? Do you see this as a culture shift for the MLS, or do you see this more as a smart move by Kansas City?
That's a very smart move, but I also think it's a risky one. If you look at Pulido numbers before this season, he was very inconsistent. Last year was his breakout season at 26 years old.
Yes.
So
1 goal every 212 minutes.
Yeah. So you have to be very careful because, yeah, he might perform at MLS, but he might not perform as much as you want him to perform.
Yes. Because
he had one great season, and how many players you've seen in this world that had amazing one seasons and
all the time
disappeared
all the time.
So
Dom Dwyer, but you know,
I didn't hear you right.
Yeah, right. Moving on.
The Instagram star.
Yeah, the Instagram
star. Okay.
Let's move forward. As we see also Lucas Celarayan for Columbus Crew.
Scored today.
Yeah, scored today. $8 million. This is not like any cheap money that like these MLS teams are spending out over in Liga MX. But what really was
a better move for Tigres than for Columbus.
I think it was a better move for Tigres. Yeah, just to get him out. Because at the same time, that's the statistic that I wanted to bring up. Only started 44% of the Tigres matches as you put on the document. I mean, you look at that and you're like, $8 million.
$8 million
for a player that doesn't even start. What do you make of that?
He's an interesting one because I remember a couple past seasons he was speculated at Santos in Brazil every single year. Every single window we're like, oh, Lucas Zelarayan, and then he didn't get anything in Santos. And then he started to be speculated at Atlético Mineiro, which signed Jorge Sampaoli, by the way, today. Go check it out on our Instagram.
Solamente Soccer.
Solamente Soccer.
And also on Twitter.
Yeah. So he's going to perform in MLS, but just because of the quality of the league.
Yes.
But I don't see him being, for example, a Lodeiro.
Yes.
A Nicolas Lodeiro. In terms of talent, especially, and in terms of representation, like the great attacking mid, no.
Yes.
No, definitely not.
Let's talk about the final guy that I really want to talk about, just because you will know a lot about him, Yimi Charra, the right winger that now plays now for the Portland Timbers. What can you tell us about him? Obviously, came from Mineiro. What do you see him as a player?
Fast.
I mean, it runs in the family.
Yeah.
Literally runs in the family.
Fast. I remember 2017 Copa Sudamericana where Flamengo went to the final and lost to Independiente. In the semi-final, we played against Junior Barranquilla, and Yimi Charra, he was a problem, man.
Yeah.
We were worried that we'd lose that match because of Charra. So he's a great addition for Portland Timbers, but he's very inconsistent. Also, his brother plays for the Timbers.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Do you think that brings more chemistry into the team, or do you think that sometimes it could really mess up with the team chemistry and how they play?
I don't think it affects a lot. I think that that puts more reason into why I went to the Timbers.
Yes.
To leave Atletico Mineiro, like to go Portland Timbers. Him being still a good player, I didn't see a lot of sense. But after I saw, okay, his brother plays for the Timbers, so
makes sense.
Makes a little bit of more sense. Not a lot, but it does.
But it makes sense. Obviously, we don't even get to the other players. We have to talk about it real quickly. Chicharito.
Okay, I was about to say, like, we're not going to talk about Chicharito?
No, that's what I was about to say. Let's talk about Chicharito. Obviously,
didn't score yesterday.
Yes, he did. But this whole situation of him going from West Ham, Sevilla, and now over to the MLS, is this more of a marketing move, or did like LA Galaxy really find the
any doubt about it?
The thing is, I don't know where LA Galaxy are really coming from, because you replace one of the top strikers in the world ever in Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who leaves, and now you bring in Chicharito, which, don't get me wrong, I believe that he was a great player a couple of years ago. 12 goals in 42 matches in the past 2 seasons. Listen, there's no doubt about it. He'll get goals. He'll score for them, everything like that. They'll bring in the tickets. Every single time that they are on an away match, it's going to be sold out. But my problem is, how quick of a fix is this? Because you replace an aging star as a striker with another aging star who probably has a little bit more of less productivity than anybody else.
No, yeah, definitely.
So where does this leave LA Galaxy? To me, it leaves no real long-term solution aside from really having Cristian Pavón over on the left wing, who also scored as well. So what do you make of this Chicharito move? More of a marketing, as you think?
No, only marketing. If in terms of technical decision, zero. Yes. Marketing, pure marketing. And I understand why they did that move. I understand that marketing piece, like we were saying before, like,
yes,
go sell tickets.
Yes, exactly. And at times, I mean, that seems what a lot of the MLS teams do, because a couple weeks back, there was a promotion, I believe it was FC Dallas, who let out a promotion that said, come watch all Mexican stars come to Dallas. And it was promoting any away teams. Stars. They were promoting Chicharito. They were promoting Pulido. They were promoting Pizarro.
All the Mexican stars.
All the Mexican stars.
I mean, that's a marketing. It's a marketing piece. That's great. But in terms of
what does that do where you show up as a player who plays for FC Dallas, and then you have more fans on the away side than you have for your own fans?
We know that very well.
I mean, if for Orlando City, seeing all the games and everything, you really do start seeing, okay. You see it when Josef Martinez comes into Orlando
all
City.
The Venezuelans show
all the Venezuelans show
from everywhere. They're like...
Exactly. So obviously that's going to happen. So why even promote it? That's my problem. Is why even you know that they're going to come out. They know
because you got to make sure.
You got to make sure, but at the same time, what does that really bring?
I know. But going back to the Chicharito move, I saw a lot in social media and MLS podcasts, especially the official MLS podcast, about Chicharito being a top 5 player in the league. You kidding me? I can name 5 people just now that are better than Chicharito. Josef Martinez, Diego Rossi, Carlos Vela, Nicolas Lodery, in my opinion, Jordan Morris. Let me see, because I'm going to rant right now, so I have to think. But Nani,
for sure.
Come on, guys. There's no way that Chicharito is a top 5 player.
Yes.
That's the most absurd and stupid thing I've heard. I'm sorry, people from MLS, but that's a fact. Chicharito, he might not even be a top 10 player in the league. He's going to score goals, but I don't think he's not even going to score 15 goals.
That's a bold prediction. Not even 15 goals?
Not even 15 goals. There's no way, man. Like, they don't... I think Pavón is going to be a lot better. We're going to be talking about MVPs now. And Pavón, in my opinion, underdog for MVP. Great player.
We'll see in just in a little bit when we get into those talks. But just quickly, let's review. We have to get moving here. Let's talk about some of the.
By the way.
No, you're perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine. But I completely agree. Chicharito, I think, is more of a marketing move than anything. As the scores were coming in from this past weekend, we have DC United losing 2-1 to the Colorado Rapids.
Surprise.
Surprise.
I was surprised.
Thierry Henry makes a great debut as they win 2-1 against New England Revolution. Houston Dynamo tying with LA Galaxy right there. Chicharito debut. Didn't do much.
$10 million.
And then Christian Pavon on the score sheet there, who I think is going to be great. Toronto and San Jose Earthquakes 2-2 tied there. FC Dallas 2-0 to the Philadelphia Union on their part. Orlando City tied 0-0 with Real Salt Lake, as well as, obviously, we mentioned before, Atlanta beating Nashville 2-1 with 60 plus. At what cost? But at what cost? Sporting Kansas City winning 3-1 for them. Pulido on the score sheet right there, as well as Hurtado.
Great result.
And Columbus Crew also winning 1-0 against New York City FC currently right now. As we also have New York Red Bulls winning 3-2 against a thriller against Cincinnati. Great game, Locadia on the score sheet as well on that part. As a sub as well. He came in, I think, in 10 minutes he was able to score. As well as the Sounders tying 1-1 with Chicago Fire. 2-1 against the Chicago Fire and Jordan Morris on the score sheet.
Twice.
Yes. So, I mean, that's an exciting week ahead. And then, obviously, we have the ongoing game of LAFC in Miami. So, we'll see where that goes as we get into our picks for the MLS MVPs and also the newcomers. So, let's take a look at that. So, taking a look at some potential MVPs, obviously, we cannot talk about Carlos Vela. Originally, when we had this set up, we had Josef Martinez.
So
Not anymore. So that one's out. But let's also as well Gonzalo Piti Martinez, of course. And then just for banter, we just kind of threw in Chicharito just to see what would possibly be. I'll play devil's advocate.
That's the best part?
What?
I wrote that.
Exactly. Here, I'll play devil's advocate real quick because I think still Chicharito has a lot to give in the season. When he came out with a video where he was talking to his dad and saying, this is not the end of the road for me. This is just something that I've been wanting to do. And I think he can still, he's going to still try to show off and say, hey, I'm the Mexican player that this generation, you're shaking your head. No. I think that there could be a possibility. You said no more than 15 goals. I could see 15 here and there if he takes all the penalties. You don't see that? 15. All right, but you don't think it's enough for MVP. Who do you have then for your race for the MVP now?
Carlos Vela, obviously.
Carlos Vela. Why? What do we see about Carlos Vela that you think?
He's just going to repeat what he did.
Yeah.
LAFC is a lot stronger this year. Mm-hmm. LAFC, they have more chemistry because they already played 2 years together. So Carlos Vela is the obvious one to say.
38 goals and 12 assists in 36 games.
No, that's
a
great numbers.
Amazing.
That's not only MLS, that's Open Cup, that's CONCACAF.
Yes. As far as newcomer of the year, obviously we can discuss all the new DPs that have just recently been signed. I think for all the newcomers, I still believe.
Before
go right ahead.
Forgot to. There's one guy There's 2 guys who are my dark horse. 3 guys.
Okay.
You see?
There you go.
See, I already have 4 players that are better than Chicharito.
All right, let's hear. Who are these dark horses?
Piti Martinez, Pavon, Locadia, Diego Rossi.
And Diego Rossi. Let's unpack that a little bit. Why Locadia? Do you think that just off him being in, do you think that even him being in Cincinnati that he could make a push for that? I know we discussed that a little bit earlier, but
he can, if he puts crazy numbers, yes.
Yes. But it has to be over the top. It has to be more than Vela.
It has to be Martinez numbers.
It has to be Vela numbers, I think.
He's a strike.
Because I don't think if he doesn't score that, then he's not going to take Cincinnati as far as he can. because he's not going to do that with 20 goals scored. If he scores 20, Cincinnati is still not advancing far into the playoffs if they make it. I think if he scores 30,
I don't think he scores 30.
I don't think he does, but I think if he does score 30, he can take them far, and then he throws himself in the conversation. I think Diego Rossi has a better chance of winning the MVP more than him. Right now, he's actually playing as a striker, as opposed to his.
It's Brian Diego and Vela.
And there you go. Right. So I think Rossi is a great shout for a dark horse. I also think Pavon is going to be really much of a dark horse just because not playing under the
There's
shadow.
No one in attack.
Exactly. There's nobody in attack. There's no one in attack.
I'm sorry.
Obviously, he's not going to be under the shadow of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I think now he could really show off and do exactly what he did in Boca. But who is yours? You think Carlos Vela for MVP, 100%. Yours. I agree with you, just because I don't see anybody that's near on his level to really be even close to being MVP. As far as newcomer of the year, I want to give my own shout, even though I don't know if this is possibly a situation where it can happen. But I love Brian Rodriguez. I really think that he's going to make that jump this season.
Play like the end of last season?
He played the end of last season.
So he's not a newcomer. So.
Not a new one, but I believe he only played half a season there fully. So I don't know.
But you know how it is. You play one game.
Exactly, and then you're done. But I would really like a shout for him, just because I think that's really going to be a player that really defies everything else in that system. I think he's really going to grow.
He's already playing really well. While we were watching Miami and LAFC,
yes.
The little bits we were watching while you guys were not paying attention.
But let's see, who do we have as newcomers? Who are you thinking? As far as anyone that is eligible to be a newcomer, I think Alan Pulido can do great things. I think
Franco.
You like Franco, so you like Franco Jara in FC Dallas. Why do you like that?
Just because he has a great partner in Jesus Ferreira, Paxton. Paxton. Mm-hmm. So, in my opinion, he can be the newcomer of the year. He's also a guy that can go for MVP. I didn't think about him.
Okay.
He is another guy who can run for MVP. Another guy who's better than Chicharito too. I'm not going to stop this podcast without everyone making sure that we know that he's not a top 5 player, which he's not.
Future segment coming to the show: players that are better than Chicharito. Exactly. We'll start putting a counter on the screen.
But Jara. And if I have to say one, if I can create a new category, newcomers / surprise, Lewis Morgan. Right now, playing on the right hand side, we saw that he is taking a lot of crosses. Do you think that can really impact his productivity, because he was playing out on the left? Instead of being able to cut in, he has to really. Yeah, but the quality is there, so I think people will notice. Okay, this guy's for real.
Yes,
he's good.
Like I said, I think Pulido for me, I think with the $10 million, and I think him being that star man in Kansas City is exactly what he needs. He's not in a big market, obviously, so I think he really is it's all about playing soccer at this point, playing football and really just getting down to it. I think that Chivas, at sometimes it could get really heavy playing under them, and especially the fan base and also the pressure of that. So I think that this is a great move for Pulido. I think that he could definitely, if he really settles down, he could really be the newcomer there. Final results. So you think Jara, I think Pulido, you think Chicharito for MVP, and I agree with you 100%. So,
and this is the end, guys.
Yes.
A lie, obviously, as you can see.
We're going to be ending on a truth, Chicharito being the MVP of the 2020 MLS season. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.
He's trash.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to our second episode. Again, Twitter and Instagram at Solamente Soccer. Keep finding up on our new posts. Turn the notifications on YouTube. Again, comments or anything like that really do help us out.
Yeah, definitely.
For Esmerino, I'm Matias. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.